Hello again and welcome to part 4 of the Carbs series. Now today's carb features a pericarb. Now this is a rather small carb. I think it came off of a 40 K&B engine, so it's a little bit smaller to work with. I've had some larger pericarbs in the past. Rather simple twin needle carb. Let's see here, our main components: throttle arm, obviously, fuel inlet. And because it's black, it's a little tougher to see, so I'm going to have to try and keep the angles right here. It's got a throttle stop / barrel retention screw. And then, of course, our high-speed needle and our low-speed adjustment. So this one should be pretty quick and simple to take apart. So let's just get right to it. And I'm going to start with just taking this throttle arm off. And it's held in place by this rather large screw compared to everything else on here, and there's a lock washer under that screw, and then you got your throttle arm. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to thread that screw back in there to use as a lever to pull that out. So the next thing I'm going to take out here is just our throttle stop / barrel retention screw, and this is a rather tiny screw. And with most barrel retention screws, the very tip of it, or at least the tip that engages in the barrel, is not threaded. So if you ever pull one of these things apart, this type of carb, or this carb, or any twin needle carb that has a barrel retention screw, and you find that the tip that's not threaded is broken off, then you need to replace that screw. Because I know there's a very small screw to see, but that is kind of a key part of this thing, because if it's got threads on it, it isn't going to ride smoothly in the throttle barrel area. So the next thing I'm going to pull out here is just our high-speed needle. I'm just going to simply unscrew this. Now this has a spring on it instead of a ratchet clicker like you'll see on OS that have a whole needle valve assembly. This is just a simple needle that has... Did the spring stay on there? The spring stayed on there. And where'd it go now? I just had the spring and it fell off. And so here's our spring, and it just kind of slides through there like that, and then it just adds some outward tension on it to keep the high-speed needle from rotating on its own. Now this little mixture disc is held in place with a really small internal toothed E-clip, which I'm going to attempt to remove carefully without losing it. Now, theoretically speaking, anytime you remove one of these, you should replace it, but I don't have a replacement for that, so I'm not going to be replacing that. So now what I can do here is I can just pull this barrel out like that, and you can see the unique design of this. It's just a large barrel here, and then basically where the fuel comes in, or you could call it the spray bar area, is right here. And there's just a single rectangular cutout. If I rotate this around, you can just see how it's just cut out on the top there. And you can tell that's the top because here is where the... Actually, it's probably more like this in operation. So that thing is facing more this way because the fuel line is going in there like that. And now if I pull this low-speed mixture disc out, there's going to be 2 O-rings on this thing. And this is really simple to do. You just kind of wiggle this thing out here. And there you go. You got the O-ring here and the O-ring there. So this groove in the middle is where, when it's in here, that's where your fuel inlet goes. So these O-rings are, basically protecting or sealing the area where the fuel goes in, so it goes into the carb spray bar, if you want to call it that, properly. So let's try and set this thing up here. And I'm trying to see if that's dirt or if that's just like a little bitty slit. I don't know, it's tough to see here. I don't have my magnifier on, but it almost looks like there's a little bitty slit right up against there where the fuel goes in there and it meters it. Because how else is it going to get in there? So let's see here. We've got this thing set up at the top. This thing is set basically like this. So yeah, that little slit that I'm seeing aligns basically with that cutout in the spray bar mechanism. So to lean, I think is this way. Lean or richen, you're basically rotating that little slit. It looks kind of just dirty to me, but I think there is like a slit in there. So that's a pretty high precision. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know. It's just so tiny. Pretty high precision thing. So that's really all there is to a peri-carb. It's pretty simple. Now the reasons I don't care for peri-carbs is because of this mixture disc, because when it's all assembled in there, it's really challenging to try to get on here and keep your fingers out of the line of the prop and rotate this, because sometimes these O-rings can get dried up and make it really difficult to rotate. So in that instance, you need to really disassemble it and lubricate those O-rings with a little bit of grease maybe. I mean, oil would work, but grease stays on there more because oil will, you know, dry out over time. Grease should not. And it's not like that is going to be exposed to fuel. At least it shouldn't, because that's the whole purpose of those seals, is to keep fuel from coming out and getting out of the spray bar. So if you put a little bit of light grease on there, it'll keep those supple and rotating freely. But I mean, that's really all there is to this simple peri-carb.